How are you guys doing? It is Thursday, September 24th, 2020. I here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to take you through yesterday's games, and I'm also going to take you through what's going on in the MLB along with the standings so far. But to start out yesterday, the Miami Heat were able to beat the Boston Celtics 112 to 109 in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And with this win, the Miami Heat lead this series 3-1. They are one win away from clinching a spot in the NBA Finals. Looking at how the Boston Celtics did off the bench, Gordon Hayward would help with 14 points and 7 rebounds in 30 minutes as he shot 4 for 9 from the field. Out of their starters, Marcus Smart finished with 10 points and 11 assists as he shot 3 for 12 from the field in 36 minutes. Kemba Walker, their elite point guard, finished with 20 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists as he shot 6 for 14 from the field in 34 minutes. He shot 3 for 8 from 3 and made 5 of his 6 free throw attempts. Jaylen Brown, the Boston Celtics shooting guard, finished with 21 points, 9 rebounds, and a couple of assists as he shot 8 for 14 from the field in 40 minutes. And Jason Tatum, Boston Celtics elite young forward, would finish with 28 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists, along with a steal and 3 blocks. He also had 6 turnovers on the day in 39 minutes as he shot 10 for 22 from the field, 4 for 11 from 3, and he made all 4 of his free throw attempts. Looking at how the Miami Heat did, first off, looking at their starters, Bam Adebayo, their power forward, would finish with 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists as he shot 7 for 11 in 41 minutes. Goran Dragic, their point guard, would finish with 22 points and 5 rebounds. And Jimmy Butler, their forward, would finish with 24 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists in 39 minutes as he shot 8 for 20 from the field. And he shot 8 for 9 from the free throw line. And their biggest performance of the night would come off the bench as Tyler Hero, their shooting guard out of Kentucky, would play 36 minutes. He'd finish with 37 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. He'd second most points by a player that was 20 or younger. I think he broke one of Dwayne Wade's scoring records, especially for someone at such a young age. He shot 14 for 21 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and he made all 4 of his free throw attempts. With this win, like I just said, the 5th seed Miami Heat now lead the 3rd seed Boston Celtics 112 to 109 so far in these playoffs, as now the Boston Celtics need to win the next 3 games in order to advance, and the Miami Heat just need to stop them in one of those games and beat them in one of those games. So that's the NBA. Really quickly, just looking out to see what to look forward to today. The Los Angeles Lakers are going to take on the Denver Nuggets at 9 o'clock tonight. The Denver Nuggets took Game 3 pretty comfortably, and the Lakers are looking to see if they can extend it or if the Nuggets can even tie it up in Game 4. Really quickly looking now to what's going on in the WNBA because the playoffs are going on. There were no games played yesterday, but it'll be Game 2 of the Storm and the Lynx. And it'll be Game 3 of the Las Vegas Aces and the Connecticut Sun after the Aces turned it back around and beat them in Game 2. And then going back to the Storm were able to beat the Lynx on Tuesday. But they play tonight. Storm and Lynx at 7:30 at ESPN2, and the Vegas Aces are going to take on the Connecticut Sun at 9:30 on ESPN2. Really quickly jumping out to the NHL bubble because the Stanley Cup is still going on. Looking forward to the game tonight. The Tampa Bay Lightning are going to take on the Dallas Stars for Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. Tampa Bay currently leads the series 2-1. After a pretty big win, after a 5-2 win over the Stars on Wednesday, so that's something to look forward to. And in addition to those, before I get into baseball, I'm just going to look into the one football game that's going to happen tonight. And this game will go on between the Miami Dolphins and the Jacksonville Jaguars on NFL Network. Not a crazy big game. I'm still going to watch it, though, because who knows when Tua could get called up. And, of course, Gardner Minshew's been playing like a beast, so that's going to be a very big game to watch, especially in the NFL. The Dolphins are 0-2, looking to get their first win of the season, as the Jacksonville Jaguars are 1-1, looking to get a winning record, at least looking to clinch a winning record so far in this season. And also, before I forget, the UEFA Super Cup is going to take place today at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time as Bayern Munich takes on Sevilla. Bayern Munich won the Champions League tournament, so they're going to face off against Sevilla, who won the Europa Cup. So, I mean, that'll be very interesting. It'll be very fun, and it's a great way to kind of start off the year. And then looking at the English Carabao Cup, Liverpool's going to take on Lincoln City at 2:45, and Manchester City's going to take on AFC Bournemouth. That's going to be at 2:45, and those are the big teams. Those are the big games to look forward to. Mainly the Super Cup at 3. That's going to be my priority. That's what I'm going to focus on. I mean, of course, you can watch whatever you want, but I'm just saying that this will be a really really big game, especially for the day. And then looking out to yesterday in terms of who played incredibly well with baseball, as it is Thursday, a lot of the series they are starting to finish up. But first, I'm gonna start out west to show you what's going on out there. I'm gonna start with Dodger Stadium as the Oakland A's were able to beat the reigning National League champs 6-4. As Sean Manaea will get the start, he would allow 3 earned runs in 6 innings pitched. And the main pitcher for the Dodgers would be Julio Urias, who would pitch 6 innings, who would allow 1 earned run and strike out 5 batters on the day for the Dodgers. He'd come in the third. But that's kind of how this game went. Looking at how the Dodgers did, their elite right fielder, Mookie Betts, would go 0 for 4 with a strikeout on the day. Their shortstop, Corey Seager, would go 2 for 4. Their first baseman, Max Muncy, would go 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs on a run as he hit his 12th home run of the season. Looking at how the A's performed, their right fielder, Stephen Piscotty, would go 2 for 4 with a run. And then their center fielder, Ramon Laureano, would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run. He hit his 6th home run of the season in the 9th inning to go ahead because the score was tied at 4, but his home run would help the Athletics, go ahead and take this win. With this win, the Oakland A's are now 34-21, and with this loss, the Dodgers are officially 39-17. Jumping out to San Diego, the San Diego Padres hosted the Los Angeles Angels, and the Angels were able to beat the Padres 5-2. The Padres took a 2-0 lead, and then the Angels scored 4 runs in the second and kind of just took over. Looking at how both teams did. First off, it would be Clevenger got the start for San Diego, but he would only pitch 1 inning. It would mainly be a bullpen game from both sides. Looking at how San Diego did, their elite designated hitter, Manny Machado, would go 1 for 4 with a run. Their first baseman, Eric Hosmer, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 9th home run in the first inning. And then looking out to how the Angels performed, their shortstop, David Fletcher, would go 3 for 4 with an RBI on the day. Their GOAT center fielder Mike Trout will go 0 for 4 with a walk and 3 strikeouts. Their elite third baseman Anthony Rendon will go 2 for 3 with a run on the day. Their designated hitter Shohei Ohtani would go 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs on a run as he hit his 7th home run of the season. And their left fielder Justin Upton will go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 8th home run of the season. And then their catcher Anthony Bamboom would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Los Angeles Angels are 26-31, and with this loss, the San Diego Padres are 34-22. Jumping out to Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks hosted the Texas Rangers and were able to beat them 7-3. Looking out to how both teams performed. Looking at the Texas first, their starting pitcher, Wes Benjamin, will pitch 5 innings, allowing 3 earned runs and striking out 3 batters on the day. Their center fielder, Leody Taveras, would go 2 for 4 with a run on the day. Their third baseman, Isaiah Kiner Falefa, would go 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs in the day. Their catcher, Sam Huff, would go 2 for 4 with a run. Looking out to the Diamondbacks, their catcher would be Alex Young, or their starting pitcher would be Alex Young, who allowed 3 earned runs in 5 innings pitched, striking out 5 batters. For the Astros, their left fielder, Tim LaCastro, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He had his second home run of the season. Their second baseman, Eduardo Escobar, would go 2 for 4 with a run on the day. Their catcher, Carson Kelly, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run on the day. Their center fielder, Dalton Varsho, would go 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And then their third baseman, Wyatt Matheson, would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. He hit his first 2 home runs of the season last night. And with this win, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 22-34. And with this loss, the Texas Rangers are 19-37. Jumping out to Seattle, the Mariners took on the Houston Astros and were able to beat them 3-2. The win would go to Margevicius. And in this win, Nick Margevicius would allow no earned runs in 6 innings pitched, striking out 4 batters. Zach Greinke would pick up the loss for the Houston Astros as the future Hall of Famer, would allow 3 earned runs in a little under 5 innings pitched, striking out 5. Looking out to the Astros, starting off, their elite second baseman, Jose Altuve, would go 1 for 5 as he left 7 runners on base yesterday. Their elite third baseman, Alex Bregman, will go 0 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout on the day. And quickly looking out before, their designated hitter, Aldimas Diaz, would go 2 for 4 with a run. Looking at the Seattle, their center fielder, Kyle Lewis, would go 2 for 4 with a run. Their third baseman, Kyle Seager, would go 2 for 4 with a run. Their designated hitter, Ty France, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs on the day. With this win, the Seattle Mariners are 25-31. And it was... They mainly won 3-0. They were leading 3-0 the whole game until the Astros almost won the game, or almost at least tied it up. But big win for them. Like I said, with this win, the Mariners are 25-31 with this win, and with this loss, the Astros are 28-28. And Zach Greinke's officially 3-3 on the year. Looking out really quickly to San Francisco, the San Francisco Giants took on the Colorado Rockies and were able to beat them 7-2. The majority of this game would be pitched by San Francisco pitcher Logan Webb, who would allow 7 hits. He'd allow 2 earned runs, and he'd strike out 1 batter for the day. Looking at to how both teams fared, hitting for the Rockies, their designated hitter, Raimel Tapia, he'd go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run on the day. Their right fielder, Charlie Blackmon, would go 2 for 4 on the day. And jumping out to San Francisco, their left fielder, Alex Dickerson, would go 3 for 5 with 2 runs on the day. Their first baseman, Brandon Belt, would go 3 for 3 with an RBI and a run. Their third baseman, former AL MVP Evan Longoria, would go 1 for 2 with an RBI and 2 runs. He did his 7th home run of the season. And then their center fielder, Mauricio Dubon, would go 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run. And he'd hit his 3rd home run of the season. With this win, the San Francisco Giants are 28-27. With this loss, the Colorado Rockies are now 24-31. Those are all the teams that were playing out west. Taking it to the Central really quickly, the Cleveland Indians took on the Chicago White Sox, and the Cleveland Indians were able to get this win as Brad Hand picked up his 2nd win of the season. Looking out to the Chicago White Sox, Lucas Giolito would be their starting pitcher. He would allow 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitched, striking out 11 batters. He'd get a no decision on the day. But looking at how the White Sox fared, no one on their team got more than 1 hit. But they'd have a good game. It would be Jose Abreu and Edwin Encarnacion that would get the 2 RBIs for the Chicago White Sox. And looking at how the Indians fared, Shane Bieber would be the starter. He would allow no earned runs, but 1 total run, striking out 10 batters on the day in 5 innings. Looking at to how they hit, their lead shortstop, Francisco Lindor, would go 1 for 3 on the day. Their first baseman, Carlos Santana, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. And this game would pretty much go all the way down to the 9th inning. The Chicago White Sox tied it up at 2 in the 8th inning, but then Jordan Luplow's home run in the bottom of the 9th would put the Indians above and help them win this game. With this win, the Cleveland Indians are 32-24, and with this loss, the Chicago White Sox are now 34-22 on the season. Jumping out to Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Reds hosted the Milwaukee Brewers as Trevor Bauer got his 5th win of the season. Looking at how Milwaukee pitched, their starting pitcher would be Adrian Hauser, who would allow 3 earned runs in 4 innings pitched, 4 runs total, and he would strike out 5 on the day. Their elite left fielder, former National League MVP Christian Yelich, would go 0 for 4 on the day with 3 strikeouts. For the Brewers, their center fielder Avisail Garcia, sorry if I butchered your name, went 3 for 4 for the day. Looking at the Cincinnati, Trevor Bauer would allow 1 earned run in 8 innings pitched, striking out 12 batters on the day. And then their third baseman, Eugenio Suarez, would be their biggest hitter. He finished 2 for 4, 3 RBIs and a run. And additionally, their future Hall of Fame first baseman, Joey Votto, will go 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He now has 11 home runs on the season, and Eugenio Suarez now has 15 home runs on the season. With this win, the Cincinnati Reds are now 29-28, and with this loss, the Milwaukee Brewers are 27-28. Going out to Pittsburgh, the team with the worst record in the MLB was able to take on the Chicago Cubs and win yet again. They beat them 2-1. For the Chicago Cubs, it will be Kyle Hendricks who picked up the loss as he allowed 2 earned runs in 7.2 innings, striking out 3 batters on the day. And for the Cubs, their left fielder, Cameron Maybin, would go 2 for 4 on the day. He'd be the only hitter with more than 1 hit. And then their elite shortstop, Javier Baez, would go 0 for 4 as he struck out twice. Looking out to Pittsburgh, their starting pitcher would be Trevor Williams. Trevor Williams would allow 1 earned run and 5.2 innings pitched, striking out 4 batters on the day. And then it would be the top three hitters for Pittsburgh that had a lot of their production. Their second baseman Adam Frazier would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 6th home run of the season. Their third baseman Ke'Bryan Hayes would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 4th home run. And then Colin Moran, the Pittsburgh first baseman, will go 2 for 4 on the day. With this win, the Pittsburgh Pirates are 17-39, and with this loss, the Chicago Cubs are now 32-24. Jumping out to Minnesota, the Minnesota Twins hosted the Detroit Tigers as Kenta Maeda would pick up his 6th win of the season. The Twins would beat the Tigers 7-6. They'd lead 7-3 for most of the game. The Tigers did score 3 runs in the 9th inning, but it just wasn't enough. Looking at how the Tigers did, their prospect Casey Mize would pick up his 3rd loss of the season. He would allow 6 earned runs in less than 5 innings pitched, striking out 4 batters on the day. For the Tigers, their shortstop Willie Castro would go 2 for 5 with 2 runs on the day. Their designated hitter, future Hall of Famer Miguel Cabrera would go 2 for 5 with 6 RBIs and 2 runs on the day. He'd hit 2 home runs on the day. He now has 9 on the season. And looking out to Minnesota, Kenta Maeda he'd pick up the win. He'd allow 3 earned runs, apparently all to Miguel Cabrera. He would allow 3 earned runs in 6 innings pitched, striking out 9 batters on the day. He had an amazing pitching performance. For the Minnesota Twins, their left fielder Jake Cave would finish 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. He had 2 home runs on the day. He now has 4 on the season. And then for the Twins, their catcher Ryan Jeffers will go 2 for 3 on the day. And with this win, the Minnesota Twins are now 35-22 on the season, as I believe they've clinched a playoff spot. And with this loss, the Detroit Tigers are now 22-32. Jumping out to Kansas City, the Royals were able to get the best of their in-state rivals, their in-state competition, the St. Louis Cardinals. They beat them 12-3 yesterday as Danny Duffy would pick up his 4th win of the season. Danny Duffy would allow 1 earned run and 5.2 innings pitched, striking out 5 on the day. And looking at the St. Louis, their elite first baseman Paul Goldschmidt would go 1 for 3. Their catcher their elite catcher, future Hall of Fame catcher who played a little bit of first base, Yadier Molina, would go 2 for 3 on the day. And then their center fielder Harrison Bader would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs for the Cardinals. Looking out to the Kansas City Royals, their shortstop Adalberto Mondesi would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 3 runs on the day. Big game for him. Their catcher, Salvador Perez, would go 3 for 5 with 5 RBIs and 2 runs. Salvador Perez would go on to hit 2 home runs on the day. He now has 10 on the season. Their third baseman, Michael Franco, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. There for Kansas City, first baseman Hunter Dozier would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs on the day. And then for them, their center fielder, Franchi Cordero, I think I got that right. It's Franchi Cordero. Will go 3 for 4 with 5 RBIs and 2 runs. Cordero would hit 2 home runs. He hit his first 2 home runs of the season. And with this win, the Kansas City Royals are 23-33, while the St. Louis Cardinals are now 27-26. And last but not least, jumping out east, the defending World Series champs, the Washington Nationals, took on the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Phillies were able to get the best of them, beating them 12-3 yesterday. For the Nationals, it would be Fedde who would get the start after his amazing previous start. He would pick up his 4th loss of the season as he allowed 3 earned runs in 7 innings pitched, striking out 5 batters. And for the Nationals, their elite right fielder Juan Soto would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their catcher Yan Gomes would go 2 for 4 with a run on the day. And then looking out to the Philadelphia Phillies, their win would go to their starting pitcher Zach Eflin, who would pick up his 4th win of the season. He's now 4-2. He would allow 3 earned runs in 8 innings pitched, striking out 9 batters on the day. And looking out to Philly, their left fielder, former National League MVP Andrew McCutchen, would go 3 for 5 with an RBI and 3 runs. He hit his 9th home run of the season. Alec Boehm would go 2 for 6 with a run on the day. Their elite designated hitter, Bryce Harper, would go 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs and 4 runs. He had 3 walks on the day as well. He had 2 home runs. He had 13 now on the season. Great game from him. Didi Gregorius, the Philadelphia Phillies shortstop, will go 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run. He'd hit his 10th home run of the season. Gene Segura, their second baseman, will go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. He had a pretty big game for the team as well. And then their catcher, Andrew Knapp, would go 1 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 4 runs. He had his second home run of the season. With this win, the Philadelphia Phillies are 28-29, and with this loss, the Washington Nationals are now 23-33. Jumping out to Toronto, the Blue Jays host the New York Yankees as the Blue Jays were able to beat them 4-1. Masahiro Tanaka would take the loss for the Yankees as he would allow 3 earned runs on 4 innings pitched, striking out 5 batters on the day. And looking out to how the Yankees performed. Their second baseman, DJ LeMahieu, would go 2 for 4. Their elite right fielder, Aaron Judge, would go 0 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout. Their elite designated hitter, Giancarlo Stanton, would go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Their elite shortstop, Gleyber Torres, would go 0 for 4 on the day. Not that great of a hitting day for the Yankees. And looking out to Toronto, their second baseman, Kevin Biggio, would go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs. And their designated hitter, Bo Bichette, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their elite first baseman, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., would go 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run. Their left fielder, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., would go 3 for 5 with a run. And then their catcher, Danny Jansen, would go 4 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs. He had 2 home runs on the day, and he had a wild game. He was basically a triple away from a cycle, but he still hit 2 home runs. Amazing hitting performance from Danny Jansen. Jumping out to New York, the Mets hosted the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Rays were able to beat them 8-5 as Tyler Glasnow picked up his 5th win. He's now 5-1 after allowing 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitched, striking out 8 batters on the day. The loss would go to Michael Wacha, who allowed 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched, striking out 4. Looking at how the Mets performed, their elite first baseman, Pete Alonso, would go 1 for 4 with a run. Their third baseman, Todd Frazier, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. And looking out to Tampa Bay, their second baseman, Brandon Lau, would go 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. He had a pretty big game. He had his 14th home run as well. Their left fielder, Randy Arozarena, would go 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs. He had 2 home runs in the night. He now has 7 on the season. Their shortstop, Willy Adames, would go 2 for 4 with a run on the day. And their center fielder, Manuel Margot, would go 2 for 2 with a run on the day. With this win, the Tampa Bay Rays are now 37-20 with the best record in the American League. And with this loss, the New York Mets are now 25-31. Really quickly, taking you out to Atlanta. The Atlanta Braves, who lead the NL East, who just clinched the playoffs, were able to beat the Miami Marlins 9-4 yesterday. They scored all 9 of their runs in the first 4 innings. Max Fried would get the start for Atlanta, but he'd leave after the first inning after giving up 2 home runs. I think he left with probably an ankle injury. But it was mostly a bullpen game for both teams, looking out to Miami as to how Miami fared. Their third baseman, Brian Anderson, who's been incredibly hot, he finished 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. He had his 10th home run of the season. Their designated hitter, Garrett Cooper, will go 2 for 4. And then their first baseman, Jesus Aguilar, would go 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he had his 7th home run of the season. Going out to Atlanta, their elite right fielder, Ronald Acuna Jr., would go 1 for 4 with 2 runs on the day as he walked once. Their elite first baseman, Freddie Freeman, will go 1 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Marcell Ozuna, their designated hitter, will go 1 for 3 with 2 runs. Ozzie Albies, the Atlanta Braves' elite second baseman, will go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Their shortstop, Dansby Swanson, will go 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run. He's his 9th home run of the season. Their third baseman, Orleni Hechavarria, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs on the day. With this win, the Atlanta Braves are now 34-22, and with this loss, the Miami Marlins are now 28-28. Jumping out to Fenway for the last game of the day that I'll talk about. Eovaldi would pick up his 4th win of the season as the Red Sox beat the Orioles 9-1 in Fenway after scoring 6 runs in the 3rd inning. Looking at how Baltimore pitched, it was mainly a bullpen outing from them. Their first baseman, Ryan Mountcastle, would have a game as he went 3 for 4. And then, of course, their right fielder, Austin Hayes, would finish 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He had the only home run of the game. He had his 3rd home run of the season as he went 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And their second baseman, Pat Valaika, would go 3 for 4 as well. Looking out to how Boston performs, their right fielder, Alex Verdugo, would go 1 for 4 with 2 runs on the day. Their third baseman, Rafael Devers, would go 1 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Their shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs on the day. Their catcher, Kevin Plawecki would go 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs on the day. And with this win, the Boston Red Sox are now 22-34. And with this loss, the Baltimore Orioles are 23-33. And really quickly, before I end this episode, I'm going to show you what pitching matchups to look forward to, especially today, because it is Thursday. Some series are ending. And of course, now, like I'm going to keep saying this until the playoff starts, with each day that ticks by, each game matters a little bit more, whether it be for playoff seeding or just to even clinch the playoffs at all. So just starting with today, Alec Mills is going to make the start for the Chicago Cubs. They take on Chad Kuhl and the Pittsburgh Pirates at 1:35. Just continuing on, the San Francisco Giants are 28-27, still looking to get a spot in the playoffs as they take on the Rockies. Kevin Gausman's going to start for them. David Peterson's going to start for the Mets as they take on the Washington Nationals at 6:05. Dallas Keuchel is going to make the start for the White Sox as they take on Zach Plesac and the Cleveland Indians. The Cleveland Indians are fighting for first place in that I think they're fighting for first place in that division because all the teams are pretty close over there. Hyunjin Ryu is going to make a start for the Blue Jays. They take on the Yankees as the Blue Jays are still trying to get a spot in the playoffs and the Yankees are trying to fight for better seeding within the American League. Looking out to Atlanta, Ian Anderson is going to try to get his 4th win of the season as the Braves take on Pablo Lopez and the Miami Marlins as the Marlins are still fighting for playoff seeding. Continuing on, Christian Javier is going to take on Lance Lynn as the Astros take on the Texas Rangers at 8:05. Corbin Burns is going to take on Kwang Hyun Kim, and Kwang Hyun Kim is not lost. Neither pitcher has lost as the Brewers take on the Cardinals at 8:15, and both of these teams are competing for playoff positioning. And last but not least, the Oakland Athletics and the Los Angeles Dodgers are going to face off at 9:40 as the Dodgers look to be the first team to break 40 wins on the season. And then really quickly, just taking you out to the standings, just to show you just what the divisional standings look like. Because I did the playoff picture a bit ago, and I'd imagine it's kind of the same. So first, starting off with the National League, I'm going to start off in the East. The Atlanta Braves currently lead the National League East with a 34-22 record. They've already clinched the division. With 6 games behind them are the 28-28 Miami Marlins, who are still looking for wild card positioning. They are currently 6 games behind the Atlanta Braves. Half a game behind the Miami Marlins are the 28-29 Philadelphia Phillies, who are 6.5 games behind the Atlanta Braves in total, and they are 1 game out of the wild card. 2.5 games behind the Philadelphia Phillies are the 25-31 New York Mets, who are 9 games behind the Atlanta Braves and 3.5 games out of the wild card. And then sitting in last, 2 games behind them are the 23-33 defending champs, Washington Nationals, who are now 11 games behind the Atlanta Braves and 5.5 games out of the wild card so far. Jumping now to the National League Central, the Chicago Cubs currently lead that division with a 32-24 record. They now hold on to the 3 seed in the National League because the Dodgers and the Braves have better records than them. In second place, 3.5 games behind them are the 27-26 St. Louis Cardinals and the 29-28 Cincinnati Reds, who are both I wouldn't say comfortably, but they're both holding on to wild card positioning as of right now. A game behind both those two teams are the 27-28 Milwaukee Brewers, who are 4.5 games behind the Chicago Cubs and 1 game out from the wild card. And sitting in last place in the NL Central, they're 17-39 Pittsburgh Pirates, who are now 15 games behind the Cubs and 11.5 games out of the wild card. I'm pretty sure they're eliminated from contention. Jumping out to the National League West, the Los Angeles Dodgers have clinched the best record in the National League with a 39-27 record. And 5 games behind them are the 34-22 San Diego Padres, who are comfortably, I think, have the best record in the wild card, and they're tied with the Atlanta Braves for the second best record in the National League. 5.5 games behind the San Diego Padres are the 28-27 San Francisco Giants, who are 10.5 games behind the Dodgers and who are somehow still in the wild card. 4 games behind the Giants are the 24-31 Colorado Rockies, who are 14.5 games behind the Dodgers, and they're 4 full games out of the wild card. And looking out to Arizona, the Arizona Diamondbacks are sitting at 22-34. They're 2.5 games behind the Colorado Rockies, 17 full games behind the Los Angeles Dodgers, and 6.5 games out of the wild card. I'm not sure if they're officially out, but I'd imagine they're out right now. Looking out to the American League East, the Tampa Bay Rays have clinched the best record in the American League East with a 37-20 record. 4.5 games behind them and already clinched the playoff and haven't already clinched the playoffs are the 32-24 New York Yankees, who I believe no, I think they've clinched a spot at least in the playoffs for now. 3 games behind the Yankees are the 29-27 Toronto Blue Jays, who are 7.5 games behind the Tampa Bay Rays, and who are currently still sitting in the wild card, sitting in contention for that. I think they might hold on to the last spot. 6 games behind them are the 23-33 Baltimore Orioles, who are 6 games out of the wild card and 13.5 games behind the first place Tampa Bay Rays. And in last place in the American League East, a game behind the Baltimore Orioles, are the 22-34 Boston Red Sox, who are 14.5 games behind the first place Tampa Bay Rays and 7 games out of the wild card. Going to the American League Central, the Minnesota Twins have the best record in the AL Central with a 35-22 record. Half a game behind them are the 34-22 Chicago White Sox, who have also clinched the playoffs thus far. And they're comfortably in the wild card. And looking at the Cleveland Indians are sitting at 32-24 with a record, or they're 2 games behind the Chicago White Sox, 2.5 games behind the Minnesota Twins, and they're comfortably in the wild card as well by about 3 games. Looking at the Kansas City Royals, they are sitting at a 23-33 record, as they are 9 full games behind the Kansas City Royals, and they are sitting 6 games, or the Royals are sitting 9 games behind the Cleveland Indians, and they are 6 games out of the wild card. And sitting in last place in the AL Central, the Detroit Tigers, who are pretty much tied with the Kansas City Royals, where they have a 22-32 record. They are 11.5 games behind the first place Minnesota Twins, and just like the Kansas City Royals, they're 6 games out of the wild card. Last but not least, jumping out to the American League West, the Oakland A's have clinched the best record in that division with a 34-21 record, and sitting in second place, 6.5 games behind them, are the Houston Astros, who are, like I said, 6.5 games behind the Oakland A's, and they're comfortably in the wild card spot with the second best record in their division. And in third place with a 26-31 record, 2.5 games behind the Houston Astros are the LA Angels, who are 9 full games behind the Oakland A's, and they're 3.5 games out of the wild card. Half a game behind the Angels are the 25-31 Seattle Mariners, who are 9.5 games behind the first place Oakland A's, and they're sitting 4 games out of the wild card. And last but not least, with the worst record in the American League, I believe, they're sitting 6 games behind the Seattle Mariners and the 19-37 Texas Rangers, who are 15.5 games behind the Oakland A's, who I think are now, and they are 10 games out of the wild card, and I believe they're officially out as of right now. But with that said, I really appreciate you for listening to all 32 minutes of this piece. Once again, it is Thursday, September 24th, 2020 out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims. I wish you a great Thursday. Thanks again for listening to my piece, and peace out.